Hello. If you've seen my last few uploads, you'd know things got a little... shall we say, chaotic. For today, I thought I'd dial things back a little bit because I have a topic I'd like to talk about. It's been living in my head rent-free for the past little while, and as everyone knows, the best thing to do with those thoughts is to evict them. Do not accept freeloaders in your brain. You've read the title, I'm talking about liminal spaces. I threw on some Yume for the background because it's an old RPG Maker game about dreams, and I thought it'd be pretty fitting for this video. Alright, let's get into it. So I guess where my fascination with liminal spaces started was when I first learned about the backrooms. This was several months back, and for anyone unfamiliar, the backrooms is a creepypasta adjacent idea first conceptualized on 4chan back in 2019 about clipping out of reality into an endless maze of yellowed walls, fluorescent lights, and sporting an odd odor. Since its inception, it's been expanded by the surrounding fandom to include a whole multitude of new things, such as more levels, entities, objects, the like. I learned about it after it had expanded into this much larger concept, and while I was interested in every part of it to some degree, what stood out to me the most was the spaces themselves that were used as settings for the various levels. So many of them felt indeed very eerie, but at the same time elicited a feeling of nostalgia. I think the earliest backrooms level that stood out for that reason was level 10, nicknamed the Bumper Crop. The level is an endless wheat field with the occasional break of trees and shrubbery. I did quite a few road trips when I was a kid, and that exact environment was just about everywhere. I distinctly remember just spending the hours in the car staring out at the fields as they rolled by, and I'm pretty sure the other hours were spent playing Pokemon on my DS and inadvertently making myself carsick. My point being that with many of the settings present in the lore of the backrooms, I more often got a feeling of nostalgia over creepiness. I'll connect back with the backrooms a little later on, but there is one last little thing I want to note about it that's somewhat unrelated to the concept of liminal spaces. When I was pretty young, between the ages of about 4 and 13, I had a pretty bad fear of going into water. There were a few things that went into why, but part of it was that I was just not that good of a swimmer. It could be a good story for another day, but my reason for bringing it up today was that for the longest time, I didn't know what to call it. I had seen the term aquaphobia, which I thought might have fit, but it didn't seem quite right because it's not like I'd curl up on the floor if someone showed me a fishbowl. But then I checked out some of the backrooms levels out of curiosity, and I stumbled across level 7. Thalassophobia, which is the name for the fear of deep bodies of water. So yes, the backrooms taught me the name of my childhood fear. Take that for what you will. Anyway, let's get back into liminal spaces. After I learned a little bit about the backrooms, I went to the best place for anyone with an interest that's consuming their brain: Reddit. The subreddit I've been spending probably most of my time just mindlessly scrolling on Reddit is absolutely r/liminal space. As the name implies, it's a subreddit where folks can share and talk about liminal spaces. It's a little bit late in the script, and I'm just now realizing that I haven't yet defined what liminal spaces exactly are. Conveniently, the subreddit has a handy explanation for what makes a liminal space, so let's just open this up. Okay, so it is pretty long, I'll admit that. The long and short is that liminal spaces are transitional, in a sense. They bridge the gap between two things or places, and those can be physical or abstract. They're also defined by being completely empty to create a surreal mood, just leaving you to look on at the space itself. There is also a specific point regarding nostalgia that states that it's not directly related to the concept of liminality, and since I've been heavily harping on that so far, I wanted to bring this up to show that the feelings of nostalgia are just my personal interpretation of the concept, rather than being integral to it. Now, on this subreddit, I have found a wide variety of stuff. I think one of my favorite genres of liminal space photos I've seen is road or path photos. So many of these do an excellent job of making roads and paths look like they stretch on forever, which, if I'm connecting it back to my own life experiences, is also the exact kind of thing I'd see while on road trips or on hikes. They make such clever use of the horizon to lead the road out of sight, and it helps the environment around it look like it is intentionally hiding what lies beyond. One that I especially like in this category is this one, posted a few years back by user It's Mo Smith. There's so many fantastic elements to this photo. The time of day, for one, appearing to be at twilight, pairs very well with the mild smog on the horizon that looks like it's consuming the sun as it descends. On top of that, the surrounding environment around the road being flat desert really gives off the feeling that it's somewhere you'd just be passing through rather than spending extended time in. This is what's being referred to with the earlier post using the word transitional, somewhere you'd just be passing through without a second thought, such that it feels feels odd to remain there for longer than just a moment. For indoor spaces, photos of empty office hallways and hotels always stuck out to me. There'd be a lot of times when I was a kid where I'd just sort of wander around hotel hallways, sometimes looking for my room, sometimes looking for the pool, sometimes just for the hell of it. So many of these photos remind me so strongly of these memories that at times I think to myself, wait a minute, did I stay at this place? Unfortunately, the original user who made this post seems to have deleted their account, but this photo resonated with me especially because of the accompanying title. It absolutely invokes memories of searching around for the right hotel room just after finishing a swim at the pool, and it is lovely. However, amongst all of these fantastic photos that I love looking at all the time, my absolute favorite category of them all is weather-based liminal spaces. These are liminal photos that make use of weather, particularly fog, mist, and snow. To me, the traditionally gloomier types of weather give off a very peaceful and serene feeling, and make me personally feel right at home. So now I'm going to talk about some of my favorites. First up is this one by user Pete Delkus, titled Driving to the Airport. The use of both the fog and streetlights in this one is immaculate, and the way that both the lower road and the upper path seem to stretch on forever in separate directions is top-notch. One that makes great use of snow is this one by user RiceCakes4, titled It's Christmas Eve and You're All Alone. What's so fascinating to me about this photo is that it has so much in it that actively goes against the idea that it should be empty. It's of course set at Christmas time, and according to the poster, it was also taken in Denver, which, given that it's the capital of Colorado, is not a small city by any means. With those combined together, it feels like there should be at least a few people rushing around for last-minute Christmas items, and yet it's completely empty. Fantastic juxtaposition. One last one I want to look at here is this photo by user Zayded. This photo to me feels like it's the one that most fits the idea of evoking emotions rather than presenting a space. All things considered, the space in this photo is very vague. This could well be just about any road, anywhere. I think it is that vagueness, however, that helps this to connect to so many people. It creates such a cozy feeling that's very difficult to describe, so why describe it? Just look at this picture. And right down to the title, it fits that feeling to a T. This memory belongs to everybody and nobody. Now, I did mention earlier that I'd circle back around to the backrooms, and it's now that time. While I was writing the script, I took another look at a bunch of the backrooms levels the fandom had concocted, and I found a couple that I really liked for their use of weather. Firstly is level 67, titled The Forgotten Harbor, being described as a, quote, heavily misty harbor that takes place sometime early in the morning, end quote. It is just really nice to look at. I love harbor settings in general, especially in the morning when they get enveloped in a deep fog, so the provided pictures for this level are lovely to look at. The other one I found that I really enjoyed was level 124, Somber Streets. This one takes the form of a winding road with constant rainfall accompanying it. This one almost feels like if you took that last post on our liminal space I mentioned and expanded it into a much larger location, just a nondescript road with rain falling in sheets upon it. The page even has Yume Niki's Martian Underground theme playing when you have it open, which should also be playing right now if I've planned this correctly. Overall, major props to Sendamix, who created the page for this level on the Backrooms wiki. It was very nice to look at and read. Now, I've got one last thing before I close out today's video. I've done all this talk about liminal spaces and how much I have become obsessed with them, but that does still leave one question. What is my favorite liminal photo I have seen? To decide a favorite, I had to consider a few things. What I like most about liminal space photos, the types of feelings they evoke, and overall what makes for a good liminal space. After some thinking, I decided on this photo. Posted by user Currently in Biochem, this is a photo they took of an empty stretch of a Seattle ferry at 5 a.m. This photo feels like the best encompassing take on what I most enjoy about liminal spaces. It has elements of both interior and exterior, makes use of the rain just outside the windows, and of course, since it's been a major point for me throughout this video, evokes a feeling of nostalgia. I loved to take ferry rides when I was younger, and to see so many people share that interest and memories of it is very heartwarming to me. So my answer for liminal space numero uno is this one right here. Thank you to everyone for listening to my gushing about liminal spaces today. It's been something that I've wanted to talk about for the longest time, and I also just wanted to take things back a notch and have more of a mellow style video. Let me know if you liked what you saw today or anything I could do differently, and until next time, take care.